Hey everybody, happy Monday, happy almost the end of the month. Thanks for showing up today because I've got to talk about a whole ton of games that we played over the last 4 weeks, which is what I do at the end of every month. And I've been doing this roundup for a few years now, and it's only recently that I decided, well, why not film myself live? Why not stream myself live while I'm doing it so people can see it one day early, if nothing else, and maybe get a little bit of direct interaction. I'm always curious what people will think of the list after the list is done. But let's see. Hey, Kabuki. Hey, Casey Jester. Hey, Knight. Hey, Ruel Gaviola. Oh, poor Ruel. I gave him the fright because he thought it was Tuesday and he should be live right now with me. Don't worry, Ruel. I'm flying solo today. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride for a change of pace. Unless, of course, you want to get on. I mean, I could push a few buttons to make it happen, but no, that's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see here. All right, we're streaming, so I have to big shout outs to TJ Bailey and Fee71, Wookie786, Sicario, and Naomi52 for, and Go Trunks for the follows, and most importantly, thank you to Naomi52 for subscribing on Prime. Folks, did you know if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can actually financially support this show for free? It doesn't cost you anything other than just pushing follow and using your Amazon Live thing to basically be able to watch the show without commercials and unlock bonuses, which are down below the video right now. But I don't really need to do a whole bunch of sales pitchy type stuff. I am here just to talk about the games. But let's just, Go Trunks 712. You're a hero. Thank you very much. And in fact, oh my goodness, I think that might have pushed us into hype train territory, during which time you folks have a limited time to earn exclusive emotes. So, hype! Apparently, if you gift, subscribe, or use bits, you can push us into a level 2 hype train and a level 3 hype train, which, as I understand it, means you will have more emotes that you can use in the chat for this particular video. And we did it! We hit 100%. I really need to get some alerts that will appear on the screen because we're hyped. Oh, all the hyping is happening. Ruel, where are you, buddy? You need to be here and celebrate the hyping with me. Oh my goodness. Beer City Board Games, you're the best. Thank you very much. And by the way, folks, it's not just subscribing gets you being able to watch without ads and being able to see extra bonus videos, which are down below the video right now in the subscriber only little panel. Feld fan. Oh, I am your Feld fan because we both share the same, unless there's a different Feld that you're a fan of besides Stefan Feld. But no, we know what's going on. And Steven807, oh my goodness, look at it. There we go. Okay, sorry. What was I saying? Oh, yes. The other reason to subscribe is there's a little thingy right up there. I think I'm pointing to it. So we are at 80 subscriber points now. When we get to 150 or 149, we'll unlock another RVR. Last week, Ruel and I did our first head-to-head, and everybody got to play along. When we get enough subscribers, and I expect probably within the next week or so, a bunch of new subscribers will start showing up because Twitch is really weird. By default, you just subscribe for 1 month at a time. And so when people run out, they'll say, oh, look, I can subscribe again. And we will push up to get another RVR. And in the meantime, thanks for all the follows as well, DeKegel, because once we get up to over 1,000 followers, which I'm hoping to do by the end of the year, although it'll be a Christmas miracle if it happens, when we do that, we're going to unlock a bonus top 10 that I will do with the audience. I'll work out the 10 best of whatever it is with feedback from the audience, so it'll be a collaborative thing. Okay, but things are going well. Let me just check this chat one more time. Charles Feld at the local post office. Kabuki, everybody loves Chuck. Although apparently you're not friendly with him since you refer to him as Charles. That's not cool. Alrighty. What else is going on in the chat? Tibby made some Hawkeye comments in the last R&R and want to openly admit that Hawkeye's first 2 episodes were excellent. I agree. Oh my gosh. I am so happy. Hawkeye is exactly what I was hoping for. You know, a big city Christmas adventure with the Hawkeye being an old, grumpy, tired man who just wants to go home, and yet adventures just keep piling on him. I'm really enjoying it quite a bit. Glad you are too. Oh my gosh, the hype continues. I'm not even doing anything. I'm not hyping you folks up, but hey, keep it going. Do I get to see? Whatever the new, or no, actually, I think, isn't it that once the hype train is over, you guys will find out what the emotes are that you can use that normally you wouldn't be able to use. Yeah, just hype yourself, Kabuki, by all means. Let's see. And what else is going on? Oh, we had another. Basil smells wonderful. Yes, you do. You do smell wonder if you subscribe to the channel, and you're getting us one step closer to another RVR episode. Right. Okay, I could just keep doing this for a while, and I probably should. I know that's the thing. I'm just supposed to keep on giving, folks. But I want to give back. Oh my goodness. Naomi52 is handing out gift subscriptions. Oh, Naomi, you are the best. Who got them? Let's see. Oh, so now, Avern Marley and Lankus 53 will now not have to watch ads either, and can also get access to a Ramble episode and all the rest of it below. You are the bomb, Naomi 52. I really hope I'm pronouncing your handle correctly, because you're great. And thanks for the follow, River Stomp, and Pass the Salt, Sam. Oh my gosh, we're almost to a level 4 hype train. Should I just keep on whipping you guys up? No, I'm not going to do that, because I have a job to do today. At the end of every month, like I said right up front, I film my monthly roundup. And it's the way I film, I do it all in one unbroken take. So it's like I'm doing it live. I might as well make it live. And you folks can watch along and chat amongst yourself and make fun of my terrible, horrible decisions and all that. Rel Gaviola gave out 5 community gift subscriptions. Wow, he really wants a more head-to-head action, I guess. Wow, that is awesome, Ruel. Thank you very much. I guess it's interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody in the chat will know. I mean, I'm still learning about. It's a fixed amount to subscribe for yourself, but I think it's actually cheaper if you buy subscriptions for other people and allow other people not have to watch ads and get all the bonuses. If that's the case, that's really, really cool. Again, I don't know a lot of the particulars, but Ruel, you're a good man, Charlie Brown. Okay, let's see. And yeah, we're almost to level 5. Or we're on a level 4 hype train right now. I really need to get some kind of on-screen indicator of that. But anyway. Oh, and hello, Panda. Hello, Zainil. Oh, yeah, Zainil says, thanks to Ruel. Thanks to everybody. Thanks. I mean, it's the holiday season. It's the Christmas spirit, giving. That's actually really, really cool. I complain about some things about Twitch. It's super annoying that you can't pause and rewind in a live video, but there's a lot of really cool community stuff here too. There's no two ways about it. Alrighty, and thanks, my caucus, or your carcass, my caucus. Thanks for following as well. Inching ever closer to unlocking that top 10. Okay. Yeah, I could just keep doing this with you folks all day long. But I do see first-time chatter. I'm just going to call you Zillow, because I'm not quite sure how to do a D and an N. First time chatter once, why did I switch to Twitch? YouTube, And I bet you he was going to say YouTube is better, and YouTube is better in a lot of ways. Basically, well, first of all, my original intent was, hey, I'll just simulstream on YouTube and Twitch, and that's what Ruel and I did with the R&R show for the first few months. But, eventually, I did enough on Twitch to where I could get affiliate. And the thing about affiliate status is I can make a little bit of cash, which basically just goes right back into paying Ruel to appear on the show. And so the problem is, Twitch, to be an affiliate, demands that you have a 24-hour exclusivity. So if I stream to Twitch as an affiliate, and you'll make just fractions of a penny off the ads you see, but more importantly, I get 50% of the subscription stuff that you folks are doing. Thank you so much. I cannot simul stream to YouTube. So the plan these days is stream it on Twitch, and then transfer the whole thing over and a kind of an edited, stripped down version of it over to YouTube for the next day. So folks can still watch it on YouTube. If you don't have time to watch the whole thing today, that's cool. It'll be archived on YouTube forever, all this stuff. But if you're not here live, of course, I can't answer your questions, and also you can't be part of the chat. And, yeah, I'm just trying to grow the channel. When it boils right down to it, I've been thinking a lot. Should I try to do some TikTok stuff as well? But I am an old, tired man, much like Hawkeye, and I can only handle so many adventures. Thank you. I'm the one who knows you best for subscribing via Prime as well. It cost you nothing, but you are helping keep the show afloat. All you Amazon Primers out there. Okay, let's see. Let me close that to see if any other questions have come up. Because I have to get to work. I mean, I'm here to work. This is what I'm going to do today. It's just you folks are, kind of the audience watching. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Kabuki points out YouTube is better for archives. Yeah, the weird thing is Twitch doesn't archive at all. I mean, everything on Twitch will eventually disappear in a few weeks. I guess maybe that's not true if you're a partner level, but I doubt I'll ever hit partner level. Right. Good luck with the click clock, haha. Yeah, I don't know. What I figure I could do, well, I could get into that, but right now, every time Jen and I play a game, I just take a quick picture with my phone and I post that to Instagram. Because I figure, all the kids are doing the gramming. I should be Instaing. And so I do that. It's not too far removed to go one step. And okay, after I post my Instagram picture, just record myself for 60 seconds saying what Jen and I think about the game. Or maybe just do a little move of where we are in the game right at that point, and boom, throw that up on TikTok, make it a YouTube short, all the rest of it. I could do that. Oh my gosh! I completely forgot about the hype train, but it's exploding on my screen again. We are continuing to hype. Thank you, Charisma in DR, for handing out gift subs to the community. You are the best. You are all the best. I love all of you equally. Except I love all the subscribers more, of course. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, Kabuki Kid also points out that Twitch notifications aren't working for her, but if you subscribe on YouTube, I'm going to be making this a habit from now on. Whenever I go live on Twitch, I will premiere a video on YouTube saying nothing else other than, hey, we're live on Twitch right now. Let me go and see if that thing is still running. Actually, I made it like a half an hour long, so it'll just keep on running over there. People who show up, although 6 people are just hanging around watching that rather than leaving that video and coming over to watch on Twitch, but that seems to be working. Everything seems to be working okay. We're up to 68 viewers right now. That is pretty cool. All right. Man, you people are very distracting. All right. Oh, and you made it to level 5, says Ruel, with the hype train. Oh, my goodness gracious. Right. Oh, that's a good question from Loopy70. No more YouTube Live. Here's the thing, Loopy, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this. YouTube seems to want to, it's a bit of an overstatement to say bury live feeds, but for the first few months that Ruel and I were doing this as a simul stream, streaming to Twitch and Facebook and YouTube at the same time, what I found is, if I just left the live video up afterwards for people to discover, a certain number of people do it. But if I literally took the exact same video, downloaded it, and re-uploaded it, so it wasn't classified in YouTube algorithm as a live, but it was just like a standalone video, the standalone version of the exact same video would get twice as many views. It's hi, Honey Pie. Jen just got back. Hi. Everything okay? Yep, everything's good. Okay. And that was just so freaking weird. And I mean, I saw it consistently. I tracked it for quite a while. I did a roundup with back in July, I think. Which normally gets a certain number of views, but that particular roundup got significantly less views. So for some reason, YouTube algorithm just does not put up live stuff as recommendations as often as it does its pre-canned stuff. And so that was another thing that pushed me over. Well, okay, if YouTube is just not even pushing live in the first place, and Twitch is all about live and building community and all the rest of it, then that's just another reason to switch over to this. So that's another reason that we are over here now, doing the live stuff. But again, everything that's going to appear here will ultimately, the next day, appear on YouTube. So, for people who just don't want to watch on live, they'll still get it all. But there is there is a certain something to be said for being there the moment it happens. And while, like Kabuki Kid and others, it does drive me nuts when I'm watching somebody live on Twitch that I can't pause and go to the bathroom or anything like that, the lack of being able to do that creates an immediacy, creates an urgency that makes it feel more like, like a live stage play or something like that. And that does kind of elevate the experience a little bit, even if it means I cannot watch the Brothers Murph at 2x speed, which is how I prefer to watch them and everybody else. Okay, let's see. Anything else? Panda was talking to Kabuki, and let's see. Right, so I think, okay, I believe I'm all caught up with you folks, and we got a long ways to go to get to a level 6 hype train. I think the hype train has left the station, so probably in a few seconds, it tells me in about a minute and 5 seconds, you folks will get a whole bunch of new exciting emotes that you can use to regale each other with witty bon mots while I actually do my job. So here is the deal, folks. What I'm about to do is record. I'm going to record the exact same way I would as if I wasn't streaming live, which means while I'm actually recording, I will have to ignore you, which is why I will put this on screen. Just as a reminder for people who come in late, if they're wondering, hey, why didn't he say thanks for the subscribe? I will, but just not while I'm in the middle of recording live, doing the stream. So, November was crazy, almost 30 games because I played a whole bunch at Dice Tower West. I'm going to try and go through all that stuff today. Shay has a couple games to talk about. And, right. And thank you, Kring, for the follow, and Fubos 1991 as well, and Communists also, thanks. And apologies if I didn't thank everybody. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff. I'm still kind of new to all of this. Oh my gosh, did it happen? All right. Okay, no. Hype train complete at level 5. Let's see. You folks contributed no bits, 16 gift subs, and let's see. And apparently, hype train emotes are now being handed out. Choo choo indeed, Ruel. Choo choo indeed. Alrighty. Let's see. Apparently, I can share that I received a level 4 hype emote if I were so inclined. Right. What do they look like? So do I? In theory, I see them. So there's the Rahdo specific ones. Oh, what? Search for emotes. I don't want to do that. I just went on my favorites. My emotes. Okay. You know what? I'm actually not going to be twitching, chatting anyway. I mean, I actually use my mouth to talk. Thank you, Wallen Wolves, for following, and Luke, and Fractal Kinadream. All right. So the train is over. The train has left the station, so it's time for me to get to work. I am warming up already. So let's just go on ahead and take off my new Gamer Geek hoodie that I got at the Board Game Geek convention. Geek. That's very, very nice. I do like it quite a bit. But it was freezing in here an hour ago, and now I am all heated up. So, all right. Let's see here. Anything else I need to do? Let me just make sure everything is working fine. How do I make this? Oh, there we go. That goes away. Thanks, Ruel, for the well wishes. Kabuki Kid is going to miss part of R&R. COVID booster is scheduled for right in the middle of the show. Your priorities are correct, Kabuki Kid. Jen and I, we scheduled ours. The earliest we could get it was like December 23rd. And that's really kind of a bother. I don't know how it works. Maybe it's different from state to state. I checked every single pharmacy within whatever the second distance was, and the others we get. So Jen and I are going to be keeping it on the down low with the Omicron, out there. But looking forward to getting that done as well. Fortunately, my mom was able to get one. She just actually went to a local pharmacy and just played the old lady card and said, I don't know how to sign up online. She didn't follow. My son could do it for me, but is there just any way you could let me do it? And after a bit of jumping through hoops, she was able to get hers done. And that's the important thing because she is immunocompromised in 73. Jen and I are double boosted, but we're looking for, or double vaxxed, but we're looking forward to having our boost as a Christmas present to both of us. Okay. So let me turn this on as a reminder that moving forward, folks, I'm going to be ignoring you all. So please chat amongst yourselves. Hope you have a good time. And let me make sure all my scenes are correct. Alrighty, so I've got PowerPoint over there, and so that's fine. I've got the Shay video.
Hey folks, so I covered 2 games
Shay,
this month.
We'll come back to
and,
you in a second. All right, so that's fine. And it's really just, right. And then, yeah, okay. And my sponsor is Fun Again Game. Yep, that's all cool. Okay, we are ready spaghetti to go. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, Stacy, how are you? Hello. Haven't seen you for a while. How are the how's the secret project going? Wink, wink. Let me know. I'm very excited. I mean, it'd be cool to start the new year with wink, wink, the secret project. Anyway, though, so follow first time chatter. Thanks for all the videos. R&R is one of your favorites. Thank you. Ruel and I really enjoy it quite a bit as well. It's a blast to do. Look at me. I put up my thing saying I'm not going to respond, and I'm still responding to people. Okay. And no pressure, Stacy. I mean, I've no pressure at all. Life gets in the way, so it's totally understandable. Okay. All right. All right, then let's. All right, so calming down now. Just turn on my regular filming attitude rather than this back and forth electric thing that's going on. One more quick swig. I'm trying to sway away from the mic for folks who do not like that sound. And cool. Everybody, talk amongst yourselves. I will give you a topic. Rahdo doesn't know what he's talking about. What does he mean that's his number 18? You'll know what I'm saying when I get there. Actually, I don't have a number 18. What does he mean that's his number 7? I don't even remember what my number 7 is. I made a PowerPoint. We'll get to it in a second. But anyway, here we go. Where's the right? Hey, everybody. The November 2021 Roundup is brought to you by Fun Again Games. And welcome, one and all. Thanks for joining me. I hope you had a very nice November. Jen and I certainly did. We played a whole bunch of games, a lot more than usual. We've got almost 30 games, just shy of 30 games to talk about in this month's episode because I went to the Board Game Geek convention in Dallas. Had a fantastic time, was very, very impressed with how the show was run. Everybody seemed to be adhering to the mask rules. At least, I should say, everybody in the Board Game Geek area. There were plenty of times that Jen and I got on an elevator and some local Texans had nothing to do with masks and ignored all the signs, but still, we had a great time. Jen did had a particularly successful show as well, but more importantly, I had a successful show because I played so many games. I got so many to talk about. There's just no time to dilly-dally, so let's get going. Although, before we get to my stuff, let's hear from Shay. Take it away, Shay.
Hey folks, so I covered 2 games this month, and that's a little bit less than what I normally do. I'll get into why a little bit later, but for now, let's just jump right into it with my number 2 game, Pathfinder Arena. This was a paid Kickstarter preview, and Pathfinder Arena is a very interesting game because at first it seems just like a normal dungeon crawl. You know, it's from the Pathfinder universe, so it's very RPG heavy in terms of like stats and stuff like that, but it presents them in a different way, and it introduces these other mechanics that have to do with manipulating the board, which are not something you see in every dungeon crawl you see on the market. So what it is that you are playing as like a gladiator who's been summoned to this magical arena, and it's a competitive game. You're trying to defeat the monsters that are in the arena better than the other adventurers, but the arena is like a magical labyrinth. So the board is made up of these square tiles, just a bunch of these square tiles, and you can rotate the tile you're on, or you can slide tiles down. There's always one empty space, so you can always slide the board, one way or another. And this allows you to set up, arrange the board in such a way that the monsters, which don't generally move, it allows you to set them up so that they attack your opponents. Now, what I like about this is that players don't have health, and that was a choice that I was surprised by, for sure, but it means that you don't feel ganged up on if the monsters end up attacking you a lot, because you're not out of the game ever. You're not even like removed and got to go to the starting zone or anything like that. No, if an enemy attacks you on another player's turn, that just means that player's going to get some points because they made that happen. So it really is all about manipulating the board in order to make the enemies attack your opponents. But then you also get points for defeating the monsters yourself. So it has a really nice blend of those traditional RPG mechanics, or at least the feel of RPG mechanics. It's got the same like 6 stats that you'll be familiar with if you play D&D or Pathfinder. And it has a really great mix of that, but also this cool like spatial awareness puzzle kind of thing. And I would also say that it plays pretty differently between 2 and 4 players. 2 players, very like, tight, strategic, kind of a chess match. But with 4 players, it's a little bit more slapstick, which I think there's definitely merits to both. But it's a little bit more wacky when you're playing with 4 players because the board just moves so much between turns. But regardless, I think it's a really cool game. I definitely recommend checking it out. Now, my number 1 game is Nemesis Lockdown. And this is also the reason that I was so busy this month and only got to cover 2 games on the Rahdo channel, because Awakened Realms hired me to make an official tutorial for them, which I was very happy to do. I had a lot of fun doing it. Did take up a lot of my time, but also it means I had the game and I got to make a run through for you guys. And let me tell you, I really like this game. Now, it'll be very familiar if you've played the original Nemesis, but if you haven't, you are playing as, in Nemesis Lockdown, you're playing as workers in a Mars facility, which happens to be overrun by aliens, or intruders as they call them. And in this one, the intruders are also called Night Stalkers because they're very dangerous at night. And this is one of the mechanics that's different from Lockdown versus original Nemesis, because the facility that you're in is losing power. And when your section is in darkness, these monsters, these Night Stalkers, are even more dangerous. So in the game, you're trying to survive this alien invasion, but you've also got personal objectives. Now, this seems like a co-op game, and you can play it completely co-op, but normally it is a semi-co-op game. So you've got your objectives, other players have theirs, and if you can escape the facility and survive, which is not a guarantee even if you've escaped, and have fulfilled one of your objectives, because you start off with 2 and you get to choose one pretty early in the game, then you get to win the game, and you might win with other people, or no one might win. It's a punishing game. It reminds me, in terms of like its feel, it reminds me of like Eldritch Horror, those Arkham games that are occasionally punishing, which is a kind of game I really like. I like beating my head against the wall if the wall is the game itself, and it's fun to do while doing it, which this one definitely is. There's a lot of great mechanics, different things like the way that you move around or do any action in the game is by playing these cards, but the cards have actions on them as well. On top of that, the aliens that you are fighting are really detailed, these beautiful minis, and they really feel threatening. There's a lot of times when games like these, you get a bunch of items and you feel like Superman because you can just knock everything out of the way, and the only goal is finishing your objective on time. No. The aliens in this game are a threat, and they should be taken seriously, which I think is important for this kind of situation. You really should feel threatened by the aliens, and you do. So if you like games like that, absolutely check out Nemesis Lockdown when it comes out. I think it's really worth your time. I really enjoyed it. I liked it better than the original Nemesis. And also, if you get it and you want to learn how to play, I will have a tutorial. It's up right now. I think it'll be up very soon, though. So check that out, and also check out the run-through for Nemesis Lockdown. But anyway, those are the 2 games I covered this month, and I'll pass it back to you. Bye, folks.
Thanks, Shay. And since I was so quiet while Shay was actually talking, my wife Jen, who was outside cooking breakfast, said, "Oh, you went quiet for a little bit. You want a slice of bacon?" And I should have said no, but I said yes because it was too delicious. The foolish thing, of course, is you think, "Oh, I'll just pause and eat the bacon." But in case you don't know, folks, I actually recorded this roundup live on Twitch on November 29th, the day before it was posted on YouTube, which is kind of how I'm going to be doing things moving forward. So if you'd like to see some behind the scenes of how I put this stuff together and chat with other folks while the run-through around the roundup is being made, you might want to check that out in the future. But anyway, the bacon is almost gone. And we're done with Shays. I should say, by the way, both those look really, really cool. I'm especially impressed by Pathfinder, which I have to admit, when I first heard about, it's warriors dueling in a dungeon. Pass. Wasn't for me because of my predilections towards not attacking other players. But then, when I watched Shay's video and saw that, me making monsters attack you doesn't hurt you at all. It's just a way that I can score points. But you might take advantage of it because you actually get points for actually beating the monster. I think, oh my gosh, that sounds really, really cool. I look forward to giving it a try. And right. Oh, and then yeah, his Nemesis video, which hasn't gone up yet, it'll be going up in a few days, I think. Hopefully by the end of the week, is very, very impressive. That game, it's a lot. It's very, very big, very, very impressive. Let me just go on ahead and get that bacon down, and we can move on. Okay, folks. So next up, normally at this point, I would actually start counting down all the games I played. But the thing is, I played so many games at Board Game Geek, and I played almost none of them with my wife, Jen. And so that's how I really rate games. How much fun are Jen and I having playing? So there's a bunch of games I can talk about this month that I do not want to put in my regular, monthly countdown format where I, name the new game of the month and all that. So I'm going to talk about them first, pretty much all the stuff I played at Board Game Geek Con, and then we will get into the proper countdown of stuff that Jen and I played together. All right, one more swig. Oh, because there's a little bit of bacon in the back teeth. Alrighty, so let's get going. Let me bring this back up. And the first game that I played was Endangered. And coincidentally, it's first on the list because if I recall correctly, I made this list in alphabetical order. Or maybe no, maybe I do it in the order I played. But regardless, Endangered is a co-op game I have wanted to play since I first heard about it. Gosh, almost 2 years ago. It looks so, so cool. And I totally missed out on it last year. And I thought at the time, boy, everything I've read, and I heard so much good stuff about it, this might have made it into my top 10 of 2020. And I just never got a chance to get it because 2020 was a very weird year, not surprisingly. So when I saw that it was in the Board Game Geek library, it was the first thing. Forget about all the new hotness. This is the one I wanted to play. I sat down, had a very good time playing with 3 other people. We barely eked out a win, saving sea otters from, creeping pollution, oil spills all over the bay. And it's fantastic. I don't want to say until I actually get a chance to play it with Jen, but I do think it is probably one of the top 10 games of 2020. I need to play it a little bit more. The base game comes with saving otters or saving tigers. And these 2 different modules play very, very differently. I got a chance to play both of them. I failed to save the tigers. I did save the otters. And there's already been 2 expansions that add even more creatures to save, doing all kinds of, really straightforward cooperative stuff. But I do have to say, the thing I really appreciate about this game more than anything else is this is not another pandemic-inspired, right, okay, let's just have our little avatars who move around on the map and fight fires. And, this game, we are playing at a more abstract level and really having to work together. Everybody has special powers. I was sitting next to the lobbyist when we won the Sea Otters, and they were the one who was able to keep giving us more influence with the government, because that's how you win. You don't win by cleaning up the spills. You just try to fight, save animals. But the main thing you do is you actually convince the world that we have to change our practices. And I know it sounds a little preachy and all that, but I gotta say, it's just a fun, solid, cooperative game. I really like the subject matter, but, even if it had been more of a traditional thing, I think the mechanisms are really phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to getting more time with potentially one of the best games of 2020, to my taste anyway, Endangered. Let's see. And then what else did I have? Oh, there was... Oh, did I accidentally skip one? Oh, I'm pushing the wrong button. There we go. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Floor Plan. Yeah. Okay, I played several roll and writes because they're just so quick and easy. And I've wanted to play Floor Plan for years as well. Somehow I never got in touch with the publisher to do coverage of it when it was kind of blowing up big and all that. So finally I got a chance to play it, and it's great. Players are architects trying to do the best layout of a architectural blueprint of a house, trying to meet the needs of a randomly selected group of customers, but also having to deal with what the dice give you, because every round you roll 2 dice. And usually what that means is if you roll a 6 and a 4, you're going to make a 6x4 room somewhere in your blueprint. And that room could either be, I don't know, if 4s are kitchens and 6 are closets, it could be a closet or a kitchen, a very, very big closet. And every round you roll new dice, and so you're really struggling to try to figure out, okay, I need to get these rooms in this particular pattern, but I'm not rolling the dice I need. So how can I build towards that? How can I leave space open? Now, instead of using the dice to make a 2x3 room or a 1x6 room or whatever it might be, you can use them to add accessories to your existing stuff. Furnishings inside the house, trees outside the house, all kinds of stuff. It's really clever, and I had a great time playing it with, I think his name was Gary, and more importantly, I actually took it up to our hotel room, and Jen and I played it in the evening as well, and Jen really liked it also. Very, very impressive game. Highly recommend it if you like roll and writes, and if you're interested in the subject matter, floor plan. Then we've got Fryafart, which is the latest design from Friedemann Friese, one of the OG modern, designer Euro games extraordinaire. I don't know where that was going, but this. I would have to say, there's actually Alejandro who I played with. I believe he suggested, and I agree, this is Friedemann's take on Ticket to Ride. Because unlike most of his stuff, he's most famous for Power Grid, for big, heavy, complex machinery piece type stuff. This is a very, very lightweight lay down track and then move your train along the track to pick up passengers and then deliver them somewhere else. Very simple, straightforward game. And there's a few things that make it interesting. One is the fact that there is a grid of destination cards, and they're laid out randomly. And on your turn, you can pick up, you can basically commit to delivering somebody from one city to another. And the tricky thing is you can't just grab any two cards. You have to grab two cards that are adjacent to each other in the grid. One of them being the pickup point and the other one being the destination point. And so you have to watch that grid like a hawk, because sometimes cities will be really close to each other, and that's just really quick points. Sometimes cities will be very, very far away from each other. And you don't want to waste a lot of time doing that. But it just so happens that's the one that track would maybe work better for you, because most of the lines that have been laid from Stuttgart to Dublin, let's say, were laid by you. And the important thing is you can use anybody's tracks, but if I use your tracks, I got to give you money. And that's true in a lot of games. In this game, money is worth a ton of points. You can make more money off of more points off of hoarding your cash than you can from delivering some rail ride customers. So me paying to use your rail is painful. But the interesting thing is, after I do that once, it then becomes a public rail that anybody can use. So the map is constantly evolving, and you're constantly looking for opportunities to find the right. And it was actually really good. I had a couple of problems. One is this game is definitely aimed at a European market, because none of the cards, there's cities from all over Europe and I think, didn't some of them make it all the way to Asia? I don't remember quite sure. But anyway, from all over the place. And all of the city names are in German, which is tricky. And because I knew what a lot of these cities were, but I didn't know their German names. And the cards do not give any indication of where they are on the map. And so that made it unnecessarily challenging to try and figure out, right, okay, Helsinki, I know it's kind of in this area. Where is it? I can't find it amongst all this stuff. That was very frustrating. Pandemic has been doing this correctly for years. On the card, the cards are nice because they actually show real landmarks of the city. But what's more important is, where is this city on the map? So that was kind of frustrating. My other frustration was I played it as a 3-player game, and I would say that is the worst way to play this, because if you play as a 2-player game, a lot of the cards come out of the deck, and that's the timer. If you play at higher player count games, you'll go through the cards much quicker. At 3 players, you have to leave all the cards in the deck. None of them come out, and suddenly but 3 players have to do the work of 5 players. And so that was, we all agreed it was a sharp game that should have ended sooner. And if I were to ever play it again as a 3-player game, I would probably pull out all the 2-player cards to speed it up. But anyway, overall, I would love to play this game again someday at a higher player count, especially now that it's given me a crash course in how to pronounce all kinds of European cities with German pronunciations. And that was Fryfart, or Free Ride, it's called in English. Okay, then we go on to G.I. Joe, the deck building game, which is a game Jen and I played up in the hotel. And it's a deck builder, it's co-op, and it really captures that Yo Joe feel of the cartoon from the 80s. I don't know, maybe there's references to the movies as well. I don't really know the movies, but I did watch the cartoon as a kid. And it's very, very nice. As a deck builder, you've got a deck of just, generic plain Joes, and you have one leader. Like Jen played Scarlet, I played Snake Eyes. And, on your turn, the first thing you can do is there are usually 1, maybe 2, or even 3 missions on the board. Some of them you have to do solo. Some of them can be a co-op thing. But if I decide, with the cards I have in my hand, with the Joes I've got here, I think I could finish that mission. So you have to plug them all all into a vehicle. Vehicle maintenance is a big part of this game. And of course, it was a big part of selling the toys back in the day as well. And over the course of the game, as you unlock more cool vehicles that have special powers and whatnot, trying to use the right vehicles for the right mission with the right Joes loaded up with the right equipment, putting all this stuff together to up your chances of success on missions is the crux of the game. That's where the strategy comes in. And the game is at its most fun when you do a public thing, because even though it's not your turn, if I say I'm going to launch this mission and Snake Eyes is going to go out there, do you have anybody who could join me? I could really use a demolitions expert because that'll up my chances. I don't have any. Just so happens Jen has one, so she jumps into my Jeep or fighter jet or whatever it is, and off we go to defeat Cobra. So the core gameplay is great. Now, ultimately what you do is, the way you resolve missions is roll a lot of dice, and kind of reminds me of the end game of London Dread. You're trying to get a big enough collection of dice, because they're all basically 50-50 coin flip dice of successes or not, and if you get enough of them, you could statistically figure you're going to do pretty well. Anyway, whether you succeed in the mission or not, afterwards, all the Joes you had, whether they went on a mission or not, could then be spent to get new stuff. New Joes, a bunch of characters from the show, equipment, all that kind of stuff. And the whole thing works really well. If you like cooperation, if you like deck builders, and if, most importantly, you like the original cartoon G.I. Joe, I think this game really nails it. My wife, Jen, does not care for G.I. Joe, does not care for running around with assault rifles, taking on cartoony terrorists and all that. So we didn't actually quite finish the game, quite frankly. I got the basic idea. I thought it was pretty cool. There's a lot of dice rolling. I didn't even mind that so much because the whole thing came together so nicely. G.I. Joe, the deck building game. Okay. Then we've got Great Plains. Another one Jen and I played up in our room after I got it from the library. Another one we sadly did not finish. The core gameplay here is brilliant, and it should be. It's from the design team that brought us Mandala. Is it Mandala or Moncala? Which was a really great card drafting game. This, like that, is a two-player only game where players are spreading their forces across the board, kind of almost in a through the desert kind of way, if you're an old school Knizia fan. And the tricky thing is, we are trying to get our, we have different spawn places on the randomly generated map. We're trying to get all our folks, one player is blue snakes, the other is orange wolves, trying to get the majority in all these planes, which are worth points, and they might have point multipliers and all of that. The tricky thing is, when you move around, you might move into spaces that give you eagles and horses and bears. Eagles let you hop skip over mountains, which are normally impassable. So you think, oh, I've got this whole place locked up. No, you don't. I'll use my eagle and jump over the mountain, and now I've got a foothold in here too. The horses do the same thing, but let you move faster along plains. Those are all fine. The problem was the third type of animal you can recruit: bears. Da Bears basically made Jen not want to play this game, and we didn't finish it because the bears let you, if you move up next to somebody, you can play a bear and just push them away because the bear scares them away. The tricky thing is, when you do this to one of your opponent's pieces and they have nowhere to run, the bear eats them. And I didn't like doing it to Jen. Jen did not like having it done to her. She's like, I worked really hard to get this, and you're just you're squishing all my things up against the wall or eating them with bears. So it is a very cutthroat game. It is a very, very good area control game. 2-player only, fast, really simple, really elegant. Brilliant design, quite frankly, but too cutthroat for us. Great Plains. Then we got Kokopelli. Now, I covered Kokopelli when it was on Kickstarter last year, I guess, and Jen and I were both super impressed by it. And so somebody came along, they had their copy and wanted to play it with me, and I really wanted to play it at a higher player count because I only played it as a 2-player game when it was on Kickstarter. So we played a 4-player game, and it's just as fantastic as I remember. Stefan Feld does something that does not feel at all like a Stefan Feld game, that has tons of interaction, a positive interaction between players. Because basically we are a bunch of Native American tribes who are trying to play cards to do celebrations. I can play cards to my own area, or I can play to the left or the right of me and play to yours. Now, a lot of people wrongly, I think, view this game as actually a very aggressive because, I'm always kind of, playing over to your area and messing with your plans. But the thing is, it's positive for me to play to your area because to score points, you need to get these celebrations finished. And in your own deck, you generally don't have enough cards to finish them up. So sooner or later, these celebrations might clog you up. So you're thankful that one of your opponents will visit you from theirs and help you finish a celebration that you started so that you can make room for another celebration and unlock other special powers. Kokopelli is fantastic. It's a great 4-player game. Now, one thing I'm a little leery about is the game went through radical changes to the 2-player rules. And so what's in the final box is so far removed from what I played, and I thought it was great as a 2-player game. I'm a little nervous, so I'm looking forward to trying to play this with Jen now that we're back before the year is out to see if this can make it into my top 10 for 2021. It definitely would as a 4-player game. The jury's still out as a 2-player, but that was some Cocapelli. Had a great time. Oh, man. Then there was Mille Fiori, which is a new design from, I want to say Reiner Stockhausen, but that's not right. It's Reiner Knizia. And it's such a pretty game. It is very abstract, ostensibly. It is about Renaissance era, rich people, investing in beautiful glass production. And the lovely plastic chips that you're playing on the board certainly play up just how lovely the game is. It looks nice, and it feels nice, too. I played it twice. The first time with Jason Levine, the gaming machine of the Dice Tower, and Jason and I both had to agree it's terrible as a 2-player game. Zero work was put into scaling it down, and so many of the very, very cool interactive systems just completely dry up and disappear. And so Jason and I were both a little disappointed because we kind of were hoping for more from the good doctor design, Reiner Knizia. Fortunately, I got to play it again the next day. Jason came back, and Scott Alden, the head of Board Game Geek himself, and a friend of his came by, and we played a 4-player game, and it's excellent. Mille Fiori is a wonderful game if you can get a higher player count, because there's so many different ways that players have to interact with each other while at the same time racing with each other. But there's temporary collusions and opportunities. All this stuff just disappears in a 2-player game. I almost would say it shouldn't have 2-player on the box, quite frankly. So I went from super disappointment to dizzying highs. If you get a chance to play Mille Fiori and you like a good abstract puzzly game, in the same realm as Azul, but with a lot more direct player interaction that can be positive, you might want to check out Mille Fiori. Okay, then, Necco Harbor. Okay, folks, every time I ever go to a convention, folks always ask me, what was that one hidden gem you found that nobody's talking about? Necco Harbor is that game. I was blown away by it, as was the group of folks I was playing it with. We all sat down thinking, well, this is probably going to be an okay little card-based engine builder, all about trying to build up, I guess you could say, a tourism industry, because ultimately you score your most points by investing in a fleet of ships, and then, well, for starters, you use them to run your engine. But eventually you get to the point where, okay, I want to send my ship, my super souped-up ship, off to Necco Harbor or one of the other bonus islands, because that's where the lion's share of the points are. But as soon as I do that, I've just given away the key driver of my engine. So you're constantly this very cyclic game of upgrading the key to your engine, these ships, building new ones, sending them away, or keeping them around so you can run your engine more and more. The longer row of cards you get in front of you, the more opportunities you have for really, really cool comboing stuff. And like I said, we were all blown away by this game. Has one of the worst rule books I've read in a long time, because it completely strips all the theme out and makes it very, very difficult to learn the game. But once you know it, you can teach it in a very thematic way, because everything is very thematically grounded. Shame on whoever wrote the rule book and just stripped all that away and just talked in gameplay terms. But once you get over the hurdle of the rule book, oh my gosh, Necco Harbor is something very, very special. And I would really like to get a chance to play with Jen. I suspect it'll scale great. I only played a higher player count. I think it would work wonderful for 2, and I want to revisit Necco Harbor. Then we've got Railroad Inc. Challenge. And actually, there are 2 new Railroad Inc. games that are called challenge games. There's I forget, Forest Green or something like that, and Shiny Yellow. I played both of them. I got both of them from the library. That's the greatest thing about going to a big convention like Board Game Geek-Con, an amazing library full of stuff that I normally wouldn't get a chance to play. The green one is all about adding forest to the core Railroad Inc. formula, and it was very, very cool, but maybe almost even a little too heavy, because Railroad Inc. is a really nice kind of, lightish, or simple to explain, very, very crunchy, puzzly, route-building roll and write, but really simple and elegant in terms of rules. The new challenge versions of Railroad Inc., which are the yellow and the green version, they add so much stuff. They add specific types of buildings on the map that if you hit them with certain types of stuff you can build, you can unlock their powers. Every time you play, there's going to be a collection of bonus objectives that everybody is racing to try to complete. And of course then there's new dice with new rules, and the In the green game, there was building forests and trying to keep them clumped together, but having multiples of them. It was very Knizia-esque. That was great. The other one, which I did not play, was about making nature trails that intersect with your rail lines and your roads. And that one looked, oh man, that's the most complicated I've ever seen this game get. The other one, which I played with Jen later in the room, the yellow version, brings in cactuses that you're trying to keep alive under the desert sun, and also canyons that can run parallel or perpendicular to your roads, and you have to build bridges over the canyons. It's all fantastic. I was already a huge fan of Railroad Inc., the blue and the red edition. But now, these challenge versions that add so much more, they really ratchet up the depth and complexity of Railroad Inc. And I'll be honest, it's kind of hard to go back to the old ones, which are much more simpler and straightforward. I like them both quite a bit. I would like to get both of them, at which point I would probably get rid of... oh, that's so sad. But anyway, Railroad Inc. Challenge, if you're looking for on the crunchier side of some roll and rides, you might want to check them out. Very, very surprising. Then, I wasn't done with Jason Levine. He came back and wanted to play Transformers, the deck building game. And we sat down and played it with Jen, who was actually the designer of a great little 2-player game, Seastead, which I covered last year. I didn't know until almost the end of the game who he was. I was like, oh wow, you're an awesome designer. And so we all played together. The interesting thing about Transformers Deck Builder is you can play it cooperatively or competitively. Or solo, of course. We assumed, usually when a game offers that, it's really a competitive game at its heart, and they just kind of bolted the co-op on. I don't think that's the case with Transformers Deck Building Game, because we all agreed that it worked okay as a cooperative game, but it was very hugely luck swingy, and because it's a deck builder where instead of just having a bunch of buckets of cards that you're buying from every round, or a river that you're getting them from, you have a grid of them face down, and you're literally exploring this grid, revealing what those cards are, and sometimes they're Decepticons and they attack you, and sometimes they're cool equipment or other Autobots who can pay. You can spend resources to put in your deck and join you. So it adds this extra level of exploration to deck building, which is a really cool idea. But in a competitive game, one player can get really lucky and find good stuff all the time, and the other player can get really unlucky and fall further and further behind. So I don't think I'd recommend it. And I don't think any of us would have recommended it as a competitive game. But I did think the core elements were very, very sharp. There were some really neat ideas. I love the core idea of, I can switch modes from robot to vehicle, and that fundamentally changes how I interact with the world. So I'm really looking forward to trying to play it this month with Jen as a co-op, which I think is the way it's supposed to be played. Plus, Transformers should work together to defeat the Decepticons, not having a friendly competition. So anyway, it was kind of a mixed response, but I'm looking forward to playing some more if I get the chance for the Transformers deck building game. Okay, and now I've got 2 more, Encyclopedia and Gollum. And here's the deal. I'm going to be covering both of these in the month of December, so I'm not really going to spend any time with them. I was really happy to play both of them. They're both fantastic. But in the end of the year, December roundup, I will go into depth on them. Okay, I'm going to take a break, folks. Hoy vey. I am tired. Okay, what did I just say? I'll get back to them. All right, so I have to remember. I need to write that down. So I remember, because I'm gonna see how you all are doing and get a drink of water. Normally, if I were filming by myself at home, I would just hit Shift on my little keyboard, and that would pause the recording. So I'm kind of doing the same thing, except I can't pause the streaming. So you guys are getting to see as I just. I might even stretch a little bit, because that was a lot. How long have I been going? That was a ton of games. Anyway, so. What I've already forgotten how I just ended that sentence. Shoot. It was, I think it was them. All right. End of month. End of month. Them. I usually keep a notepad open for when I do pause. I'm going to pause for a while. I have to write down, what would I just say? So when I come back 15 minutes later, I know where to pick up. But anyway, okay. Let's see how everybody's doing. Let's see who has shown up in the last hour. Let's see. Okay. I remember Phobos. I remember Claring. The hype train was over. Fractalkind Dream and Luke and Volvots and Hogfoot. Oma Klabutki. Abe Lincoln's Ghost. The Venom Rex. Board Game Geek TV. Hello, Lincoln, if in fact it's Lincoln. Julio79, Sofo, Lemony, DJ Psycho, Alex, In Flames, Kieran Deer, I am Johnny Man. Thanks for the follow, everybody. We are getting closer. Would it be possible to crack 100 by the time this is over? Because if I can get to 150, we're going to do, sorry, no. I was thinking of the subscribers. The followers, right. Okay, yeah, we're at 728, need to get up to 999. Maybe I will make it by the end of the year and unlock the special bonus top 10. But anyway, thanks everybody for following. That is awesome of all of you. And, right. So let's see if I've missed out any chat. Although I just want to take a nap right now. I could just hit the big commercial button. I've got it right there. I could launch 90 minutes of commercials at you and take a nap, but I'm not going to do that. It's not worth it. I get so little I was surprised. I knew I wasn't going to get much because I get so little from the ads on YouTube, but it's bounteous, the amount of ad revenue you make on YouTube compared to Twitch. Anyway, though, so let's see what's going on here. Let's just scroll to the bottom. Too much. Alrighty. Oh, you're talking about Gollum and Batoku. I agree, Octbrad. Having played both of them, although I haven't played Gollum with Jen yet, I think Gollum is superior to Batoku. Batoku is currently sitting at my number 10 of the year. And it might get pushed out before I record. By the way, folks, if you're enjoying this live stream, show up on Christmas Eve, where I will be live streaming my preliminary top 10 of the year. And with that in mind, I probably shouldn't spoil it right now. Let's see. First time chatter, I am Johnny Man, says, keep up the quality content. You keep up being Johnny Man. Johnny Man, thanks for the well wishes. Let's see here. Great soundtrack on Workday. Oh, so I'm just in the background on first time chatter Julio's. That is nice. I'm glad I'm making your day go by just a little bit quicker. Let's see. Oh, the Gollum designers are fantastic. Yeah, I mean, ever since I heard about Gollum did not make my top 10 most anticipated games when I did that on New Year's Day this year, because it hadn't been added to Board Game Geek. I already knew about it. And yeah, Marco Polo, Lorenzo Magnifico, Grand Austria Hotel. I mean, and the list goes on. It was a murderer's row of designers. And so Gollum was always going to be great. And from the one play I did, which was, by the way, I didn't mention, it was Express Gollum. Alejandro and Ashley, both of whom had only played one half a game. It was on the last day of the show. And they said, okay, for this last day, you can check stuff out, but you have to be back by 1 instead of the normal. I forget what it was. You can keep them for 4 hours, but here it has to be back by 1. I'm like, oh, and I didn't. I'd been looking the whole time. It was my number one game I wanted to play. On the first day, when I went in to look at the new game section of the library, I'm like, oh my gosh! I'm looking around, and nothing really interesting. I ultimately got, what did I say? The not Enchanted, the co-op game I started with. I ultimately got that, so I was happy. But as I was looking around, I saw over there in the G's, oh my god, is that Gollum? And I just started rushing over there, and then right when I was almost to it, somebody just casually reached out and grabbed it. And then I never saw it again. For the rest of the show, every day, first thing I do is go and look for the G's. Could I find it? Nope, not there. Last day, I'm like, okay, well, I'm only going to have less than 3 hours, whatever game I'm going to get. I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm looking around, and I kind of lingered. I probably lingered in that room for 15 or 20 minutes, just on the off chance, and it happened. Gollum came back in. I saw the nice young woman bringing it in. She didn't even get to put it back on the shelf. I intercepted her at the door and said, mine, please. And then that's when I found out that, oh, I only have 3 hours to learn, set up, and play this game. Très impossible. And so I was going to go, sadly, put it on the shelf for maybe somebody who knew how to play it and might be able to do it in time. But a very nice girl named Jennifer said, oh, I played it last night. You want me to teach you how to play it? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. I can't play it, but I'll teach you how to play. Yes, please. So I checked it out. Jennifer said she'd be over in about a half an hour. So I just started setting up the game. And Alejandro and Ashley, who I'd played a couple other games with, showed up and said, we're wondering what's going on. Turns out they had played half a game. They kind of dimly remembered it, so we started playing it. By the time Jennifer had gotten there to make good on Teach Me How to Play, we were like halfway through our second round, because I played the fastest game of any heavy Euro I've ever played. And along the process, I taught Alejandro how to do run-throughs, because he wanted to sit down and spend a half an hour teaching me every little rule of the game before we made our first turn. I'm like, there is no time for this. Teach me on the fly. Make your turn. Explain what you're doing. Let me know what could I do. Okay, I'm going to do that. By the time I was halfway through the game, I was very comfortable with it, but I was learning as I went, and we played the entire game from start to finish, including teach, in about an hour. Probably the fastest game of Gollum on record, except I'm sure for the designers who can probably bang it out in under that. But it was fantastic. It has now been set up in the other room where Jen and I play games on our table for the last 3 days. And it's going to sit there for another 2 days. Jen will not be able to play it until Thursday, if I recall correctly. Oh, so that's like 3 days from now because she's still got a lot of orders she has to do. Anyway, though, sorry, folks. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what am I looking at? What were you looking at the whole time? Could you hear me? What is happening? Oh, I never put the talking head. I should have gone to the talking head. Oh, hello. Hi. Oh, I was in the tiny little talking head. Yeah. Sorry, I forget whoever said that. Anyway, Gollum is fantastic. Julio79. Keep it on your list. It is great. Stacey Everdell cannot get past the cover of Gollum. Because it's creepy? One thing that's interesting about Gollum, I know originally it had run into some problems when it was first announced and the box art was put out, because the developers, they put the Jewish word for life, if I recall correctly, because that's historically how golems were, they're fantastical creatures from, Jewish mysticism and all that. And they actually put it backwards, and everybody looked at that as, oh, wow, they don't care what they're doing. They're just kind of half-assedly appropriating stuff. But here's the deal. If you can download the rulebook for Gollum now, there's a whole section talking about how they actually worked with a rabbi, a Talmudic scholar from Israel, who signed off on everything, gave them lots of feedback, made sure they were getting everything right, and in fact, I believe he actually put his stamp of approval on the game. So, my hat's off to Cranio for going above and beyond. Not all publishers will do it, but it seems, from what I've read there, and you can go look. I went and looked this guy up. He's the real deal. I mean, he is knee deep, in the studies and the culture and all that. So I think if you're worried, if you'd heard that story about how, they totally screwed it up with their first Bard art, they took that message to heart and did their homework and did right, I believe. Anyway, though, so what else is going on? Magic Moose Moo wonders, is my wife my only gaming buddy at home? Yes, I love playing two-player gaming. That is the best way to play games, especially when you've got my wife to play with. So don't feel bad for me. It's a feature, not a bug. That's backwards. It's a bug, not a feature. No, it's a feature, not a bug. Yeah. I prefer to play games two-player, and my wife Jen and I, we're just so comfortable with each other. Okay, let's see here. I think that was enough rest. I got to get back. That was a huge list. Now I've got to do the rest of the stuff. I got 15 more games to talk about, folks. So I don't know if you're going to be able to stick with me the whole time, but let's see. Sofa says, you second that, Rahdo runs through. I second whatever you're seconding, because I didn't see when you said that, of course, because there was a delay and all that. But thank you for your support. And thanks for using your Rahdo points to actually highlight that so I could see it. Hey, by the way, folks, there were several first-timers, like Empress Brer. Greetings from Berlin. Bear? One of the things you can do, the longer you watch a video on Twitch, one of my favorite things about the platform is you earn points. They just passively accrue. They're down at the bottom of your chat window. There's like a cursive R, that's for Rahdo, and however many points you've got. Occasionally you'll see a little treasure chest show up. Click on that, it'll give you 50 bonus points. So it's actually rewarding you for paying attention instead of just having it in the background. You can spend those points to do all kinds of stuff. Now, all that stuff is really things that I do with Ruel in the R&R show. Like, buy an R&R argument, make me and Ruel argue over some topic, or rate games, all kinds of stuff. And as you're accruing those points by watching, click on that R and see if there's anything. You have to scroll. I think I've got like 8 different things you could spend them on. But anyway, hey, Tim Ruel is here. Is Ruel still here? Okay, Ruel is going to go live after I'm done. Okay, Ruel, then I will be sure. Folks, if you make it to the end of this, hang out, because we will raid Ruel, and you will get a bunch more Rahdo points that you can spend to do all kinds of stuff, and you'll get to see whatever shenanigans Ruel gets up to. Okay, but anyway, that's enough of all that. I've got to turn back on sorry folks, cannot chitty chat with you. Let's see. But before I go, thanks Chris for following, and I am Johnny Man and In Flames and DJ Psycho Alex Lemony. Oh yeah, I've got the rest of them. So thank you everybody for following. You can see that thing up there. We're getting closer and closer to unlocking the bonus top 10 for followers and getting closer and closer to the RVR episode for subscribers. And it's going to be a long time before I get enough bits to unlock a bonus run through, but that's okay. It's good to have both short and long-term goals. I find I like tactical and strategic in my games, so that's okay. Alrighty, so let me go back to where I was. Got to get back to PowerPoint. Let's see, and I've totally forgotten what I was just saying, but I wrote it down. Okay, I ended with them. So ended with them. So I think I said something like, and I mean, that's all I got to say about them, or I said something like that. So, okay. Let me get back into my mindset. Thank you, Janik, for the follow. We are getting closer. I didn't think I was going to make it, but maybe we'll pull it off. 9,000 bits is basically, a bit is a penny. So to unlock that run through, like I said, it's a long-term thing. I'm looking for $100 to hit that goal. I expect maybe by the middle of next year, I will have slowly worked my way up enough to, through tips and bits, and that's okay. There's no rush. It's not like I don't have plenty of things to run through already. It's just, and putting that extra one on would be a big challenge. So yeah, I'm in no rush to fulfill that. We'll just leave it up there. Like I said, it's a long-term goal. It's good to, I'm calling my shots. Okay. So, right. Oh, that's so silly. I didn't go back full screen. Alrighty. Thanks, Bogard. I'm going to cough for a little bit now, folks. And I remembered not to do it directly into the mic this time. Wasn't that good of me? It's almost like I'm becoming a professional. All right, so what is the next thing on the list? The next thing on the list, I think it's Skyrim, isn't it? Just looking ahead. Yep, it's Skyrim. Okay, cool. Right, okay, go back. All right. And now, there is one more game to talk about before I get to my normal countdown, where I've got 14 more games to go over for you folks. And it's a really unique situation I found myself in. And now here's the deal, folks. I did not... I'm back to talking to you. I can pay attention to you for a little bit. It's Skyrim. I played it digitally. And the interesting thing was, the publisher... They wanted me to do a run through, but their attitude was, look, we're not going to make physical prototypes of this. And I'm like, well, I'd like to check it out because I'm familiar with the video game and I'd be curious to see how it's done. There's a lot of really cool ideas in it, but I cover physical games. My Patreon backers told me a long time ago, we do not want to see you doing digital videos, stuff on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator. And so that's what I told them. And they said, well, we'd still really like you to cover the game. Would you be interested in coming onto our live stream? Playing it with us, and then do like a little roundup entry. But we need the roundup entry first. See, normally, I play the games, I film them, and then, here we are at the end of the month, I do a little roundup. This one went backwards. I didn't play it with Jen. I played it with Chris and Jeremy Howard of Man vs. Meeple. One of the nicest guys in the industry, one of the best content creators out there. Definitely check him out on MVM. And... so we all played for a couple of hours, I think. We didn't quite finish the game, but we got a basic idea of it. And then I took footage from that, both their trailer and the actual gameplay we did, and I did the entry for the roundup early. And so, after I'm done, I'm going to have to edit that in. You can already watch it on my YouTube channel. I put it up like 2 weeks ago. So I'm just leaving this as a placeholder to insert it later. And we're only about halfway through it because I talked a lot about this game because there's a lot to say about this. It's a very, very big, ambitious, cooperative adventure game that really captures the feel of the board game. So anyway, let this go for a little bit more. All right. Yeah, Tim says, not a fan of watching TTS gameplay. Not sure why. It makes me feel uninterested in board focused. See, the thing is, I expect the reason watching somebody play Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator is they're treating it like a video game. They're constantly zooming the mouse in and out and zipping around and all of that. And there's nothing preventing you from using these platforms to film as if you were actually filming a real physical thing. Have preset cameras. Create shortcuts so you jump between those cameras and use it to zoom in, zoom out, and I think you'd find it a lot more pleasant. The way that you can look at what do you call it, cards, and they go full screen, that's no different than me doing green screen stuff, and putting that on screen. So in a lot of ways, it can be the same. It's just nobody's filming that way. One person is. John Gets Games is doing it, but nobody else is. So I think it could be made to be viable. But the Patreon backers who support the show, who keep the show going, they were very clear. They did not want to see me start doing it. And hey, what do you know? I've got a phone call. I am not going to answer that. They can leave a message. So I think it could work. But anyway, so yeah, this is just kind of a weird special thing. And it looks like it's coming up to the end of it now. What was I going to say? All right, so the only thing I don't say there is... Oh, I've totally forgotten. Right, okay. Yeah, all right. So, and then we go to... And then I start... Okay, one more swig. Sorry, I thought I'd have more time to chat with you folks while this was going on, but I think it's coming to the end of it pretty quick because Tim asked a very good question. So, all right, I'm going to move on to the next thing because I set myself up a thing to transition out of. Let's see. Yeah, very impressive game. But unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play it with Jen, so it just didn't feel right rating it. And so it joined all those Board Game Geek Con titles that were all very, very interesting. But folks, you've waited long enough. It is now time for the actual roundup. 14 games that Jen and I played enough to make me feel like I could talk about them. And this is countdown format. We'll start with our least favorite, end with our most favorite. So, without further ado, let's talk about number 14, Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. And this is basically, if you're all familiar with Love Letter, which is a very popular micro game, or I should say now a series of micro games, because the original Love Letter was such a big deal that they've rethemed it, they've put Batman on it, all kinds of stuff. The Infinity Gauntlet, which is obviously part of the Marvel Comics lore, is the latest version of it. And I really wanted to try it because I tried the original Love Letter, thought it was neat, thought it was not worth playing as a two-player game. And I think most people agree with that really you want to have at least 3 or more players to have all the guessing games and everything really come to life. In a 2-player game, it's a bit too zero-sum. Infinity Gauntlet is interesting, though, because it becomes a 1 versus many. One player is Thanos trying to get all the the Infinity Stones, snap his fingers, and wipe out half of all life in the universe. All other players are playing a cooperative game against Thanos. And that's a really cool idea. But all the same stuff from Love Letter, where there's imperfect communication. You can't talk about what's in your hand. Even if you're playing cooperatively, you have to intuit both what's in your opponent's hand, Thanos, and what's in your teammate's hands. So I would still love to try this at a higher player count. Jen and I, we did sit down on Thanksgiving Day, and we played a couple of quick games of it with switching sides, and I thought it worked. It certainly worked better as a 2-player game than straight up Love Letter. No two ways about it. But still, the whole time we were playing it, I was thinking, oh man, this would be so much more amazing if there was at least one more hero for me to go up against. They emulate having multiple players by the hero player taking 2 turns in a row. It works, it's okay, but yeah, it's just not a good fit for me. So again, I'd love to play this at a higher player count someday, but sadly, Infinity Gauntlet comes in at number 14 of the month as a 2-player game. Okay. Then let's go on to number 13, Nano Games, which was a paid Kickstarter preview, which is still online right now. I think it's ending this week. If you're watching this the day it goes live, I think you've only got a few hours left to check this out on Kickstarter, and I suggest you do because it's very, very cool. The core idea here is the Nano, as in 9, each of the 3 games that are on offer in this Kickstarter campaign are composed of 9 dice, 9 cards, and 9 cubes. And from those resources, you have to make a really interesting game. And they've made 3. A very, very cool route building game, a engine building empire style game, and a more lightweight SimCity-ish sort of game. They all play very differently. And here's what I didn't know. That when I covered this, when I did my run-throughs for them, back when the Kickstarter first went live, they've since announced that they have come up with rules to be able to combine all 3 games into one mega game. And oh my gosh, I wish I still had my prototypes because I so want to try that. Because there were things I liked in all 3 of the games. My favorite was the route building. My second favorite was the engine building. My least favorite was the SimCity one because that was the really simple, lightweight gateway one. But combining all 3 of these into one super game, that seems very, very cool. And by the way, this is just the first of the Nano Game series. If these do well, the publishers are planning on having a second set of 3 and a third set of 3. I wonder if ultimately you'll be able to combine all 9. That seems crazy. but who knows? Anyway, it was very, very cool. Rated as a whole, I'm putting it a bit lower on the list because the SimCity game was really way, way too lightweight, and the engine building game was solo only, as was the route building game, if I recall correctly. But so I mean, these come in lower because they're predominantly solo. I didn't really get a chance to play them as much as Jen. I did think they all worked. I'm just not, in my heart, a solo gamer. But I really liked the two of the three. The other one I thought was okay, but I'd love to see how it combines. But anyway, that's all combined. Again, you just have a few more hours now, potentially, to check out my number 13 of the month, the Nano Games set number 1. Okay. Then we go on to number 12, The Hunger. Now, this is basically answers that age-old question. What do you get if you combine Clank, vampires, and Magic the Gathering creator Richard Garfield? You get The Hunger, which is a competitive deck building game where players are vampires that are racing through the countryside as fast as they can to to feed upon as many innocent villagers as they can before the sun comes up. So you're zipping out, trying to get as far as you can to get access to bonus objectives and treasures and the all-important villagers who you try to feast on. But if you go too far, if you push your luck, the sun will come up, and if you can't get back to your castle on the top of the mountain before time runs out, you'll burn like a crisp and you'll lose everything. So that sounds a lot like Clank, doesn't it? Clank has that same thing of going into a dungeon, going deeper, trying to get better treasures, but you got to get out before time runs out. So, first of all, just for the record, if for folks who would think, oh, this is just ripping off Clank, both Clank and The Hunger are from the same publisher, Renegade Games. So there's no ripoffs. And if you like Clank, but you've ever thought Clank is, if you wanted a harsher game, a more dangerous game, because in this game, if you don't make it out, you just die. In Clank, it's much easier to at least I didn't get my bonuses, but I'll make it out alive. And you can generally stay out a lot longer. Here, with The Hunger, it's not a variable time length. You have exactly 15 rounds from start to finish, and if you're not back to safety, you die. So there's a much greater sense of danger and threat. Now, one thing that I think I appreciate more about Clank is the fact that in most deck builder games, you start your hand with 5 cards in hand, and you try to figure out, what am I going to do with these cards, buy new cards, all that kind of stuff. In this game, instead of buying cards, you feed on the cards. And the more cards you get, the more they slow you down. In Hunger, you only draw 3 cards on your turn. There are some rules around that, but for the most part, you start with 3 cards. And that makes for a much more challenging situation, because the more you feed, the more you fill up your deck with villagers who are just clogging everything up, and it's hard to thin them out. So you have to really play with peak efficiency and really clever, smart use of those brief windows you have to thin your deck. And it's much riskier to go deeper in this game, whereas Clank is a bit more freewheeling. Now, I'm not saying that's better or worse, but it's very, very different. And I think for some people, it's weird. On one level, the Hunger is simpler. Oh, look, I only have 3 cards to play every turn. It's going to be simpler to play these turns. But on the other hand, it's much more harsh. And I would almost say, base game of Hunger versus base game of Clank, there are more special rules. It is a more complex game. It is a harsher game. And yet it's also a more streamlined game. So it's really kind of interesting to compare the two. Quite frankly, the reality is, if you love Clank, I don't see there's any way you will not love this game. This would just be like, oh, we want to play Clank tonight. Let's play the Vampire Clank, i.e. The Hunger. If you don't like Clank, would you like The Hunger? I know a lot of people really could not stand the fact that Clank has this issue where sometimes players will just rush in and rush out and then start the countdown timer on all the other players, and that can be very frustrating. The fact that this game has a fixed number of rounds from start to finish abolishes that, so you have a lot more flexibility and freedom to push and and not be quite so restricted based on your opponents. So, I mean, there are strengths and weaknesses of both games. I think it was definitely fun. I definitely enjoyed it. It came in at my number 12 of the month of The Hunger. And you'll be able to see my run-through for that. Oh, my run-through for that just went live today, or maybe it was yesterday, depending on when you're watching this. Or maybe it was years ago, depending on when you're watching this, I should say. Anyway, let's move on to number 11, Floriferous. Now, this is the latest collaboration between Steve Finn and Pencil First Games. It is a gorgeous, lovely little card drafting game. Plays very, very fast. And it basically borrows the drafting mechanism from King Domino, but really builds on it. Because King Domino, okay, I know whatever tile I take right now is going to determine next round, but in this game, you can see the next 5 rounds worth of stuff. And trying to navigate getting the best card you need right now, but put yourself in a position to get an even more important card later is very, very clever. It's beautiful. It's very, very fast playing. And I really, the crux of it is, at any given time, depending on how you proceed, you might have 3 or 4 or 5 different conflicting set collection challenges you're trying to achieve. You're trying to get these bounties that everybody's racing to get the most points on. You've got your own personal desires that you want to see. You've got, what are they called? Arrangements of flowers where you have to get certain types of flowers. So you can have all these different things. And you say, okay, well, based on all this, man, I really need sunflowers. Or not sunflowers, I really need poppies. There's one poppy that came out. And this is a short game. That might be the last poppy of the game. What do I have to do? What do I have to sacrifice now to make sure I get that poppy? Because it will plug into so many of my different set collections. It's a really simple, beautiful, fast-playing, elegant game. Very lightweight. Really good gateway. Very easy to teach. You can probably up and running with this. I think it'd be a great gift game too. Maybe a little bit on the light side for me and Jen, but we were still very, very impressed with my number 11, Floriferous. Did I say that right? Floriferous. It's a tough word. Floriferous. Okay, let's move on to number 10. If I can push the button. Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. Now, this was another paid Kickstarter preview, and it's another roll and write. It was a big roll and write month for me and Jen, and that's cool because we love roll and writes. I have not even remotely gotten tired of them as long as they continue doing new and interesting things, and Dice Kingdom of Valeria does that. This basically takes the Dice Kingdom of Valeria original, or the Card Kingdoms of Valeria, the original game, and turns it into a roll and write. And what does that mean? Well, Card Kings of Valeria was basically a Machi Koro inspired game where you've got a whole bunch of citizens who have, special abilities, and every round we roll dice, and those get to activate everybody's citizens. It's incredibly popular in Machi Koro, and and in Dice Kingdom of Valeria, and Space Base, and a couple more came out, My Farm Shop, and the new one from Porta Games, which is really, really cool. I want to say Outlanders. No, it's not that. Oh, we're doing Heist. Anyway, there's a bunch of games that do this. This is the first one I've seen that does it in roll and write form, which gives it a lot of really cool stuff. Because you could kind of think of this game as Machi Koro combined with Gone Shown Clever. Because this game really strongly features that Gone Shown Clever-esque, hey, if I click this, if I activate this thing, it'll activate that thing will activate that thing, and you create really cool, fun, satisfying combo chains. And and the game is abundant with them. So it works great. My wife loved it. I think it was her second favorite game of the month. I liked it a lot too, but there were some other roll and writes I liked even more, like I talked about earlier, the really heavy Railroad Ink. So for me, it came in at number 10. Maybe I should have bumped it up a little bit more. I only just found out from yesterday from Jen just how much she loves it. Because, of course, if you're a patron supporter of the show, you might know that I, every month, do a video with my wife Jen where we break down all the games of the month from her perspective. It was her number 2 of the month. She really loved it. I really liked it. And I think it's still live on Kickstarter. And the interesting thing is, like the Nano games, this is part of a 3 Kickstarter game campaign. There's this roll and write. There's also a cooperative tower defense game set in Valeria and a trick-taking game. I didn't get a chance to play those 2, but I'd like to try all of them. And I really enjoyed my time with Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. Then we go on to number 9, The Palaces of Carrara 2nd Edition. And my run-through for this is not live yet. It'll be live in December when the game goes up on Kickstarter. But we have played it, and we very much like it. Now, I originally covered Palaces of Carrara almost a decade ago when it first came out. And probably the best thing I can say about Palaces of Carrara is through moves and many, many culls of my collection over 10 years, it has always stayed. I have never once been tempted to get it away because the core game from Kramer and Kiesling about spending half your time using expert timing to get building materials from a market where the prices are constantly shifting, and the other half of your time building buildings and trying to score them with peak efficiency has always been brilliant. So, for years, it's been all but impossible to get unless you got the German copy like I did. And so people have been wanting it. It's finally going to be available, and it's a new updated second edition where Kramer and Kiesling have revisited and added a bunch of new stuff to the game. Most notably, well, there's still decorations, but they work completely differently, and now there's also statues which add this kind of area control element to the game. It's still the same market is all about rotating that wheel when you buy stuff so things get cheaper, but there's 2 wheels, so you can manipulate both wheels at once with the rotation or just the smaller one and change things up that way to not give bonuses to your opponents, because a big part of this game is paying attention to them and not doing something that helps your competitor to your left more than it helped you. So the core game is still here. It still works great. You can watch my run through right now from 10 years ago if you want to see just how good it is. And it adds a bunch of really cool new stuff. Now, there's one odd thing. To me, the reason Palaces of Carrara has stayed on my shelf for so long is because one of the things it had was a deck full of cards that created variable in-game scenarios where, okay, this time when we play, we got these 3 cards. These are the 3 things that everybody's racing to complete to finish the game. Those cards have been removed. And I understand, I guess they have been removed because so much other stuff has been added that keeping those cards in would make it over the top. And this is still, at its heart, a very elegant, fast-playing game. So I can imagine Kramer and Kiesling might have been worried about combining all their new stuff that crunches up and makes the game more complex with all their old stuff. And so they took the old stuff out. That old stuff, though, for me, was hugely important, and I very much miss it. And so, my problem is, I was very sad when I almost said, I don't even know if I want to cover the game. I just hold on to my old one because those cards, those objective cards are so huge. Here's the deal, folks. That's when the publisher said, well, we are still making those cards available. They are available as an extra add-on bonus purchase during the campaign. For I think it's just an extra $5, you can get the deck of cards that replicates and actually lets you pretty much recreate the original rules of the game if that's what you want to play. And like, oh, okay then, no problem. I'll cover it. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to play with those, and I should say, I don't want to overstate this. The new game is great. If I had never seen those cards, I don't think I'd miss them. But because I have seen those cards, I do miss them. So I'm very, very happy that they will be available during this Kickstarter campaign if you want to seek them out. The game doesn't need them, so it's basically been turned into one of those optional promos, but sometimes, promos are like, oh, that's kind of nice to have. Sometimes promos really make the game. I think this is going to be one of those types of promos. So if you're at all interested in Carrara, when it goes live on Kickstarter, I think next week, in the first or maybe the second week of December, I don't remember, keep an eye out for that retro pack if you would like to get the full experience, all the new stuff plus all the old stuff. Now, I'm rating it number 9 because I haven't gotten a chance to play with those cards. I suspect this would have climbed up into my top 3 of the month if I had those cards on hand. But as it is, that was my number 9 of the month, the Palaces of Carrara 2nd edition. Okay, then we are going to talk about Robotopia, another Kickstarter. By the way, folks, I think I misspoke a couple times in this run-through, as I think some of the ones I was talking about, I'm pretty sure Carrara is on GameFound and not on Kickstarter. Tell you what, check the links in the show notes of this video. There will be links to the Kickstarter or GameFound campaigns for each one of the crowdfunding games I talked about, because it's getting to the point where GameFound and Kickstarter are pretty much, they're interchangeable in my head. But anyway, so again, if you're looking for them and I read you wrong, check the links in the show notes. It'll all be made clear there. But anyway, let's continue with my number 8, Robotopia, which is another paid Kickstarter. And sadly, this launched last month, and they've had to cancel because they were not hitting their funding goals. And this breaks my heart, because this is such an incredibly cool, fresh, new, and different worker placement game, unlike any other worker placement game that has come out. And that is so rare. Worker placement is so ubiquitous now. For a game to be bright and colorful and fun and fast playing, but also be completely new, Oh, it breaks my heart. And so I really, really hope that the publisher will be able to, I don't know, get feedback about why it wasn't taking off more, because it's a gorgeous game. It's fun, it's fast, and it's just so unique. What is it though? I guess, I should say that's kind of my job. Basically, we've got a robot factory. Our workers are robots, and there's a caste system for these robots. Some robots will only let you do one action. Some, when you place them, will let you straddle multiple worker placement spots and activate both. Some will let you straddle 3. So with one worker, you can do 3 actions. But as you might imagine, those robots, the blue ones, if I recall correctly, are much more expensive. But so that's all very nice. But you've kind of seen similar stuff to that before. Here's what's really interesting. Once you put your worker on the board and do whatever it is, work in the mines to get the materials you need to build more robots or convert things to other things, Euro-y type stuff. The fun basics. Once you've, and ideally you put it in such a way that you can make a really nice combo chain of 1, 2, 3 kind of stuff. After you've done that, the robot powers down. It's done, and it just sits there. And over time, as players do more and more worker placement, the board just gets completely overloaded with all these workers, these deactivated robots. They've shut down, and you don't get to bring these robots back. Instead, one of the things you're developing, in addition to trying to get in good with the robot guilds and collect resources and everything you're trying to do, one of the things you're trying to invest in are robot manufacturing machines, because everybody owns their own. And when you are out of robots, your next turn is going to be to power up all your robot manufacturing machines and build completely new robots. But now, this is where things get fun. There is it was a really cool looking miniature. Mine just had a little standee, but the miniature looked very cool. There's the master robot, like the foreman. When you generate new robots, the foreman robot wakes up, moves clockwise around the board, kind of Rondell style or Moncala style, to the new area, and whoever did this gets to pick one area for the master robot to go in and crunch all of the offline robots. And so you clear out the board, so suddenly all those worker placement spaces are opened up again, but other players are going to get to go to them first because you're the one who was making room for them. But every robot that you crunched gets scrapped and converted into resources that then you can use for other stuff. This is one of the most brilliant worker placement ideas I have ever seen. It is so sharp, and I am beside myself. I cannot understand why this game had a hard time finding an audience. Again, it breaks my heart. It was a ton of fun to play, and I guess I'll always have the prototype unless the publishers want me to send it on someplace else. But yeah, Robotopia, great worker placement game. My number 8 of the month in a very, very busy month with dozens and dozens of games I played. Okay. Fingers crossed it makes a comeback. Come on, you can do it, Robotopia. All right, let's move on to number 7, Mobile Markets. Now, this is a sequel to one of, I think, the best Euro-style modern-day business simulations on the market. Now, the best one is still Pret-a-Porter. I love me some Pret-a-Porter. But the second best, in my opinion, is probably Smartphone Inc., which is a game all about, just developing. Or maybe Kanban. Kanban's really good too. Oh, anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just talking about the stuff for this month. Anyway, Smartphone Inc. and its sequel, Mobile Markets, is all about investing in R&D, manufacturing your phones, marketing them, and trying to get a foothold in markets to be able to sell them and make lots of money, which is points. But of course, you're every step of the way having to compete with your opponents who are also trying to sell to those same consumers and maybe have better phones than you. Or maybe they made really cheap schlocky phones and they're just trying to unload them, because once a customer's bought a phone, they won't buy your super duper high tech one if it had the exact feature that audience wants. So Smartphone Inc. was a brilliant game. I think Mobile Markets is better. At least it's better for me and Jen, because the original game, the biggest thing that's gone is the original game had a map of the world, and there were territories: North America, Africa, Asia, Europe, and South America, all that. And you, in addition to everything else you were trying to do, you were trying to get distribution footholds in all the different markets. Mobile Markets assumes, hey, you know what? We've moved on. It's one global market that everybody sells to now. So the map is gone. And that means the kind of nasty cut-throated area control elements of Smartphone Inc. is gone. Now, for some people, they'll say, that's what I love most about the game, trying to undercut you in your own backyard. There's still opportunities. There's still brinksmanship. They're still trying to say, I bet you really want to sell to those people. I sold to them first. But it's a bit more live and let live. And while the map has gone away, new elements have been added. Marketing, which did not exist, which gives you all kinds of new cool special powers, is in. And, and some other stuff besides. I love everything about this game. I thought Smartphone Inc. was brilliant. I played the Smartphone Inc. expansion. I thought that made the game even better. I got rid of my Smartphone Inc. to make room on my shelf for mobile markets. I like it that much. It's my number 7 of the month. Okay, then let's talk about number 6, Zapotec. Oh my goodness, this game is fantastic. This is the latest era of antiquities, or would you call it? Maybe not that old, but old world. Euro-style game all about gathering resources to build up some of the great wonders of the old world. Here we are in South America, if I recall correctly. I'd have to go back and look. And we are gathering resources to build the Great Pyramids of Central America. Yeah, Central and South America. I forget if it's Central or South. If I could, I'd go and look right now. And actually, I will say, that's one of the big strengths of this game. Putting aside the gameplay for a second, I'll come back to that. Probably the thing more than anything else I really appreciate about this from publisher Board and Dice is the attention to detail that the publisher has put in to getting the subject matter right. They have actually hired cultural consultants who have weighed in on everything. They've actually talked in the rule books about, okay, well, here's the way it really was in ancient history. We've had to make this adjustment to make gameplay work, but to give you a better understanding of really what was going on at this time. I mean, this game is a masterclass from Board and Dice, who are fast becoming the best in the business at treating cultures other than their own with respect. It's obvious in every step of the way. I mean, if you check out the rule book, just how important it is to Board and Dice to get this done correctly. So, I think that's amazing. I absolutely love it. You can go download the rule book on Board Game Geek right now and check it out for yourself. Mwah. Or you can watch my run through. I talked about this in Final Thoughts. But all that aside, it's a great Euro as well. This is my favorite type of game. Some people would consider it dry and dusty and beige, getting a bunch of cubes, converting them into other cubes to complete objectives, to go up score tracks, to get points. Oh, that's manna from heaven for me. And normally, games like that, including games from Board and Dice, tend to be on the long side, at least for me and Jen, 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Probably the coolest thing about Zapotec is, the first time we played this, including teaching Jen the game, we got it done in under an hour. This game is lightning fast, from start to finish. You start with nothing, but you ramp up almost immediately, and by the end of the game, you're pulling off really big moves, but the end of the game comes, even at higher player counts, at the hour mark. That is clearly something that this game does to set itself apart from all the competition, and I love it. And if all that weren't enough, I love the handling of the subject matter. I love the fresh approach to making a fast-playing Euro that is still every bit as crunchy, gives you all the feels of a big, long, epic, economic simulation Euro, but is just done in lightning quick. But then, it's got really cool, fun engine building stuff as well. Because every time you build a new building, you take a tile, you add it to your grid that will generate automatically on future turns resources for you. But you're trying to lay them out so that you can, with peak efficiency, activate multiples of these tiles. But the core thing is, you have some cards. Every turn you play a card. It's a multi-use card. This card tells you where you can build. This card tells you which portion of your engine you'll be able to activate. And this card tells you what your speed is. Think Gloomhaven, the initiative system. The lower the number, the faster you get to go. Going first in this game is everything. So sacrificing a card that would have let you do a big production so you can go quicker so that you can get the topper on the pyramid that everybody was contributing towards is everything. Oh my gosh, this is such a wonderful game. It might make it into my top 10 of the year. Don't be taken aback by the fact this is my number 6. This was an incredible month of some of the best games of the year. That's always the way it works. If you're a Euro fan, all the good stuff comes out at the end, and Zapotec is definitely one of the best. Absolutely adore it. Watch my run through to see more. Okay, then let's go on to number 5, Rolling Realms. Like I said, folks, I played a lot of roll and writes this month, and just when you thought I was out, I pulled you back in. I played Rolling Realms with random strangers, with our neighbors at Board Game Geek. I played it with Jen in the hotel. I played it with Jen when I got back, and I played it with Ruel Gaviola in the first ever RVR show, where Ruel and I basically face off, and we actually got to play against the audience. You can watch the run-through and play along with us and see if you can beat Ruel's and my score if you want. But all that aside, what is Rolling Realms? It is the latest game from Stonemaier Games, and basically the idea of it takes all the other games from Stonemaier, condenses the gameplay of those down into a single card, and when you're playing, you have 3 Stonemaier games in front of you that represent 3 completely different roll and rights. And every turn you roll the dice, and it's 2 dice. One of the dice you'll apply to one card, one you'll apply to another, and the third card won't get nothing. And you play through, 27 rounds of this, going through 9 cards. And so in 27 very, very fast rounds, I mean, this is a half an hour game, you will feel like you have played 9 unique roll and rights and making tough choices, compromises between all of them. This is brilliant. I absolutely love it. And I also love the story behind it. This game came about because Jamie wanted to give folks at home during lockdown something fun that they could play long distance. This game is perfect for playing long distance over Skype or Zoom or whatever. And so he made this. He did a print and play. It proved to be so popular that people really wanted a full commercial version. So it's now coming out. I think you can pre-order it now. It'll be available soon, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, I got my copy. I played it a bunch, and I love it. I love it so very much. My number 5, Rolling Realms. Then we go on to number 4, another paid Kickstarter preview for Resurgence. The interesting thing about this is from designer Stan Kardonsky, and oh my gosh, he has had such a role for the last few years. Endless Winter and Rurik, and oh my gosh, I actually kind of did like a little breakdown of his career when I covered this game, and I mean he's just been producing nothing but phenomenal game after phenomenal game, getting better and better and better. Started out with Dice Hospital. Resurgence, I would say, is currently his high watermark. It is such a brilliant design. I was just talking about with Robotopia how rare it is to get worker placement games that do something truly new and interesting and different. This is another one that does it. Although I might be forgiven for not recognizing that, because this is a bag builder. It's a worker placement bag builder. And so at first glance, it kind of looks like, oh, this is set in post-apocalypse Russia with mutants running around, but it plays like Orleans. You reach into a bag, you place these workers out, and you deploy them all around the central map to do stuff, worker placement style. There is so much going on with this game, and I think what really makes it special more than anything else is, like Dungeon Pets or Fresco, you program what your workers are going to be doing behind a shield. And then, so whatever you drew out of the bag, you then have to figure out where you're going to go. And each one of these workers, they're basically multi-use workers because they determine where you can go, they determine what they can do, they determine where you will exercise your leadership, because there's competition on these different tracks that will unlock all kinds of bonuses. I'm kind of thinking back to like a Brussels 1867? The Brussels game, where every worker you place is like, oh, I'm doing like 5 games. I'm playing 5 separate games all at once with this single worker placement game. Resurgence kind of has that vibe as well. But it is a very fun, fluid, and fast-playing game. I think more than anything else that really elevates for me is that, okay, I think I'm going to program this one to go over on the metro. This one's going to go down on the waterfront. I'm going to keep this one at home. But really, this one should go over there. But I should probably go that. But if I can make it over there, and if I can beat anybody else there, I won't have to spend the extra resources, and that will give me a bonus because it's that type of worker right there. Okay. I think this is it. That's how I'm going to go. Reveal. Oh my gosh! All of your people are going on the metro. Am I ever going to have a chance of actually making it where I need to go? Does my whole plan fall apart? Probably does. But then that means that's where the game really gets fun, because now you've got to come up with a new plan. And oh, it is great. It's fun, fast playing. Again, watch my run through to see why Stan Kardonsky is here to stay. He is now definitely an upper echelon designer, and Resurgence definitely cements that. And by the way, I believe it's on Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure it wasn't GameFound. Again, there's a link for it down in the show notes for a couple more days as of the time of filming this. So if you're at all interested in it, you want to get on the ground floor of something very, very cool, really fun game, you might want to check out Resurgence. Okay. Oh, we're almost to the, done, folks. We're almost to the end. Here's my number 3, Luna Capital. Oh, wow. So there has been a new kind of drafting that's on the rise. Started seeing it a few years ago. Most recently, I think Cascadia is probably the biggest the biggest success using what I like to call entwined drafting, or maybe interlock drafting, or symbiotic drafting, whatever you want to call it. The idea that on your turn, you're going to take a tile or a card or whatever, but you don't just get that because it has been fused with some other tile or some other card. And if I really want that tile, I have to take this other one. And it's great when I want both of them, but usually you'll find that, oh, I really want that tile, but it's connected to something that's garbage for me. And also, I want this other tile over here, and it's connected to something garbage. And so, having to make these tough compromises in this entwined drafting is wonderful. I cannot get enough of it. Like I said, I've played about a half a dozen games of it over the last year or two. Luna Capital, I think, is now the high watermark for that in the industry. Yes, I'm putting it above Cascadia for folks who are keeping track at home, and Cascadia is wonderful. Luna Capital is all about building a capital city on the moon, and it is all about entwined drafting. In this game, the cards you grab a card that indicates the terrain of the moon, and then it's going to be associated with certain tiles. And so this is a double-decker tile layer, which I love as well. You have to place the foundation, but then you have to do that bearing in mind the tiles you're going to get that you're going to build on top. And of course, like a lot of tile layers, you're trying to get the right tiles next to the right tiles to trigger bonuses and effects and all kinds of stuff. So the entwined drafting combined with the double decking is very, very cool. But again, we've seen that before. What really pushes Luna Capital over the top, and it does a lot of great stuff. Watch my run through. Has it gone live yet? I think it has. But anyway, the coolest thing about this is this escalation. In the first round, my card is associated with one tile, with one building. The second round, a card I take is associated with 2. In the third round, it's associated with 3. In the fourth round, it's associated with 4. And so, the thing is, you are grabbing land at a fixed rate, but you are increasing the speed with which you grab buildings. And so you very quickly run into very, very challenging spots where I cannot get all of these tiles onto the land the way I want to. And the game has this really cool ebb and flow because after you take a card and get 4, then it resets and the game kind of slows down. And then you're only taking 1 tile. But then you're taking 2 tiles and 3 tiles and 4 tiles. And this sends you on a roller coaster that is so sublime. And it's just, the game, it never gets to a point where, I'm just going through the motions, because it's constantly changing the feel from, I'm free, I can do whatever I want to, this incredible noose is around my neck, and then, I've got all this flexibility again. It's great. It's got a lot of variability set in with, variable objective cards and all that kind of stuff you would expect. And both Jen and I were totally blown away by it. It's my number 3 of the month. It's probably another one that might make it into my top 10 of the year, Luna Capital. Okay, but now let's talk about number 2. Terra Firtua. Oh my gosh, this has been such an amazing month, folks. Another top 10 candidate, not surprisingly. This is a very simple drafting game where on your turn, you're going to take a card from one of 2 rows. The top row has cards that generate goods. The bottom row has cards that convert goods into other goods. Every turn, you're going to grab a new card and add it to a 3x3 grid. The game is over once you have made a 9x9 grid. You are trying to build cities of the future that are green friendly, that can deal with their pollution. I have not had to worry about pollution so much in a game since, I was going to say London, but, there's also antiquity. I mean, this game, every time you want to do anything with industry to build things that will score you points, you're making more pollution. And so you have to be very, very careful about having places to store that or sequester it. Because if pollution gets put unsequestered on a card, it totally shuts that card down. And in a game where you only have 9 cards, you're only going to play through 9 rounds, losing a card because of pollution is painful. But that's all beside the point. That's not what makes this game special. That's just theme that is really wonderfully integrated into gameplay. The cool thing is, you put a card down in this grid, you activate that card, and every card in the same row in the same column. So, I love Glenmore, one of the greatest tile land games of all time. This takes Glenmore and pumps it up to 11. You're not only activating the immediately adjacent things, but everything in the row and column. So, that so elevates the gameplay, especially considering it's just a 3x3 grid. And so, the first turn, you already had 1 card as part of setup. You put 1 card out, you're activating 2. Then, depending on how you build, are you going to activate 2 cards in the same round or 3 cards in the same round? By the end, you might be activating 3, 4, 5 cards in a given round, depending on how you've built. But then there's one more thing, the icing on the cake, that really makes this game special. As part of setup, you get 2 in-game bonus cards. Both of them have on them One thing is they each have an objective where, hey, if I do this, which means I'm trying to do this throughout the whole game, I can convert this combination of things into points at the end of the game. So you've got 2 of those. You're going to pick one of them. Each of these cards also has an activation grid showing you the same 3x3 and showing that you, after you've taken your 9 turns and gotten as much as you could out of your engine without getting too much pollution and all that, you get to take a 10th turn. At the end of the game, you take these 2 cards. One of them you use for the in-game scoring. The other you use for a final bonus super activation. And you have these cards from the first round. So for the entire game, you are spending all your time and effort trying to build these so that they'll be a good engine as you're building, but also building towards one of 2 potential ends. It's so good. This game does so much with so little. It is a masterclass of design efficiency. I was absolutely blown away when I first read the rules about it and just heard about it, and then playing it at long last, it totally lives up to it. It's an amazing game. I think it deserves lots of kudos. I don't know. I mean, it's not a real looker, and it's not from a really big, well-known publisher, so I'm kind of worried about its long term. But oh my gosh, this game, if you love Euros that are, last year, I talked about Furnace. Furnace kind of came out of nowhere and just blew me away with its simplicity, its elegance, and its depth and crunchiness. Terra Futura is a very different game, but it kind of fits in that same wheelhouse to me. And it's just as impressive as Furnace was for me. It's my number 2 of the month. And it's a good month, folks. So let's talk about my number 1 of the month. Dog Lover. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love this game so much. We just played it this weekend for the first time. I believe, this is I said earlier about pre-orders, this is the one that's available right now for pre-order from AEG. Although I believe if you're in Europe, it is available right now. It was for sale at Essen Spiel. It's available in some shops in Europe. I believe in North America and the rest of the world, it'll be showing up in early 2022. So I am jumping the gun here for a lot of folks, but here's the deal. If you like dogs, you have to check this game out. This is from publisher AEG. And previously, publisher AEG put out a game called Cat Lady, which was a very sweet, charming little card drafting game all about grabbing cats, grabbing cards that you need to feed them, grabbing costumes, and a very simple, very lightweight game. Dog Lover takes the same core card drafting mechanisms of Cat Lady, but adds a ton of extra depth and complexity to the game. In the original Cat Lady, when you drafted it, it was a 3x3 grid of cards on your turn. You pick one row or one column, grab all the cards there. You hope to get a nice combo of cards that'll work well with your cats. Now, you could still do that in Dog Lover, but you learn new cards that let you get different combinations of cards. So you can kind of start doing Tetris-style polyomino tile drafting. But you can also invest in your dogs. You can train them, you can walk them, you can uncover their personality traits. If you love dogs and if you have someone in your life who loves dogs as much as my wife and I do, you have to check this game out. It's so sweet and charming and simple and easy and elegant to play, and yet so robust. There is so much stuff going on. I mean, it's basically like Cat Lady with like 3 extra expansions all shoved in here. I almost worry that it's maybe got a little bit too much going on to be a pure gateway game. I've already seen one thread on Board Game Geek where one fellow who got the game was wanting to play with his girlfriend who is not a gamer geek, and it was too much. So they were hypothesizing, okay, could we take out this system or this system or this system? Because there's a lot of stuff. I've just scratched the surface of this. But it's charming presentation. It's incredibly fast gameplay. It is wonderful and deep decision making. Really interesting drafting, quite unlike anything else. I mean, there's a lot of really new... Who says that there aren't cool, new, unique ideas happening in board games? I see them all the time, and this is one of them. I absolutely love this combination of polyomino, Tetris-y type stuff with card drafting is so cool. And none of that matters to me, because what this really is more than anything else is a fantastic game, an amazing game that's all about dogs, which is probably my favorite thing in the world. So it's my number 1 game of the month. There's no way this doesn't make my top 10 of the year. Dog Lover. Okay, folks. Wow. Are you still here? Did you make it this far? If so, I doff my cap to you. That was a lot of games. Next month, the month of December, I think is going to go back to normal. There's some very exciting games I'm trying to get to the table before the year is out. On Christmas Eve, I will be streaming my preliminary top 10 games of the year. On New Year's Eve, I'll be live streaming my preliminary most anticipated games for 2022. So, lots of cool stuff coming. And of course, every week, I get together with Ruel Gaviola and we stream live the R&R show. We've got some fun top 10 topics coming up as well. So, December is going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be impossible to top November because Board Game Geek Con is the greatest convention in the world. Dice Tower West is the second greatest convention. And I'm looking forward to going to that in March of next year. In case you're going to go, please come by and say hi. But otherwise, folks, that is it. Thank you to everybody for watching. And also, thanks to the sponsor of the show, Fun Again Games. Have a nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye. Phew! Oh man, hooray! We made it! We made it! High fives! High fives to everybody! Oh, I really want to hit that 90-second ad and just make you guys wait. Or I want to hit it like 5 times. I'm so tired. But, I'm back to the chat. Hey, what happened? Did you guys have fun? Okay. Wow. I don't know why I do this marathon style. I mean, well, I kind of have to now that I'm doing this live, but I never had to. I could spend 2 days doing this and just take it. But I am drenched in sweat. I was going to say I was going to go take a shower, but I think I'm going to go hit the old Oculus and do some Supernatural VR exercising because I've been really bad. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks. But anyway, let's see what's going on. What have I missed? Thank you for the Prime subscription. First updates now. You are awesome. Oh my gosh, we are getting closer and closer. And Eclectic Camel, thank you for the 100 bits. Oh my gosh, we're $1 closer to unlocking. This is, I cheer you, Eclectic Camel. I cheer you. Did you hear the sound for it? I really need to, I haven't figured out sound with Twitch yet. I heard it, but I need to work on that stuff. Stacey Everdell also. Okay, I said right up front, I figured, that progress on the run through at, $99 or 9,900 bits is going to take a long time, but you folks give me hope. You folks give me hope. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. What I really need to do is, there are so many cool things that you can do with bits, like that you audience can make sound effects happen, and there's this really cool app where you can all have avatars that walk around at the bottom of the screen and do stuff. I really need to investigate that kind of stuff more, because I've just so scratched the surface of what you can do with Twitch. It's absolutely amazing. But anyway, thank you for the bits, everybody, and thank you for subscribe for the first updates now. Very specific username. I'm thinking you must have a channel all about updates now. Let's see here. And let's see what else we got. Followers. Delgo the Dwarf, 96,000. Silgato 106. Jude the Nerd Shelves, or Judy the Nerd Shelves. Paw 4449. Deep Thoughts 76. Falcon P. Malsma. Eclectic Camel, Empress Brer, thank you all for, there's more. Red Wolverine, Snick. And, I almost accidentally, I don't know why, I should have done this as a snick. I almost did that one, but I didn't put any fingers up. I just, virtual snick for Wolverine. Witsomatic, Ambersair, Goofy BK, Barad, Odin's 2RS, Janky, Chris L. Sound, I'm Johnny Man. Thanks all for the follows, and thank you even more to Empress Barrera, Eclectic Camel for the subs, and Stacy is now subbing as well. Fantastic. Be like Stacy, everybody. It costs you nothing if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, and we're getting closer to unlocking another RVR with Ruel. But, okay, folks. What time is it? It's 2:00, so I started at noon. Let's see, if anybody has any questions, like about the list I just did, or what I thought, or what about game X or Y, or just in general, go ahead, and I'll stick around for a few minutes. But, I knew this was going to be a longer than normal episode because of all that Board Game Geek stuff. So let me see. I'm just going to scroll back. Actually, can I just do a search for Control F? Is there Control F here on this? No, there's not. Can you search stream? Oh, look at that! There's so many gifts given out during the hype train that there's actually a little leaderboard with Ruel Gaviola in the lead and Eclectic Camel and Stacy tied for first place. Oh, that's fun. That is fun. I admit those kinds of things are fun. I should probably put a leaderboard down in the show. I felt like a leaderboard was like taking it too much and just like being a little bit too on the nose with encouraging people just to give me money. Right. Let's see. Stacy says, how did I not know Luna Capital was so gray? It is very gray. That is true. It doesn't bother me at all, but I could certainly see why for some people Luna Capital would be a no-go because it's a bit bleh looking. It's thematically appropriate that it is so bleh looking, but yeah, it's not a looker, but it's a player. Let's see, what else have we got here? First time chatter, Delgo the Dwarf. Let's see. I should probably read this before I put it on screen. Hopefully there were no bad words. Let's see, I always rather on you. Oh, just thank you, Delgo. That's very kind of you to say. Let's see. And Meeple Maven says, same. You folks are awesome. Let's see here. All right. Okay. I don't think you folks. All right. Oh, the Palace's Carrara first edition cards are free if you subscribe. Oh my gosh. Wow. I did not realize that, Tim. I wish the publisher had told me that if you subscribe for a pre-launch, you can get them that $5 waived. Wow. I hate doing it, but I think I might have to go back and film an insert saying, oh, by the way, folks, if you go to the pre-launch page, you can get that $5 card for free. Why did they not tell me that? I totally would have shouted that from the rooftops. Okay, thank you, Tim, for giving me more work to do, quite frankly. But I think that will be worth it. Okay. Surely somebody has some questions by now. And if not, we're all out of here, folks. And we're going to go raid Ruel. Ruel, are you getting ready for a raiding? Oh, I see. Oh, Rahdo. Did you ever look into OBS Ninja? Yes, Eclectic Camel. I did look at OBS Ninja, and I did not understand it at all. So it's basically a web-based, super stripped-down OBS. I looked at it, and I could not figure it out. It made no sense to me. I had a hard time understanding the mission statement, and to be honest, they just put it up there and they just assume, okay, people are going to figure this out. There was no really nice, hey, let me give you a little tutorial about why you might want to use us instead of OBS or Streamlabs OBS or any of the other things out there. So I looked at it and eventually, and I actually, in my inbox, I send an email to myself called To Do. And probably once a week, I open it, and then the stuff I did, I erase, I put new stuff in, figure out Ninja OBS, stayed in my to-do list for probably over a month. And it was literally just this weekend that I eventually said, okay, I'm never going to figure this out, and I removed it. But thank you for the suggestion. I have to admit at this point, recent outcry aside, I'm pretty happy with Streamlabs OBS. As far as I know, it is still the only platform that does the brilliant thing of letting me stream and record at the same time, but the Twitchy stuff does not appear in the recordings. That's so brilliant that it'd be hard to walk away from that and go to any other platform. Let's see here. All right, that should have given you some time, folks. Let's see here. Oh, I'm getting a little eye twitch. That means I'm really tired. So tough to find an OBS replacement when you do so much bespoke work. I have the same issue with the channel. First time chatter, Wart Stick Apocalypse. I wish he had goals in which he reached out. I'd stream myself playing Siphon Filter. That would be actually very, very cool. I mean, I say I'll do a run-through. I assumed I would do a board game run-through, but it could be a classic video game run-through. That'd be really interesting. Yeah, I mean, what I really should do with that is... what I should do is just collaborate with somebody who's already done full run-throughs and say, hey, I want to download your videos... probably a speed run through so it's quicker. And I want to record director's commentary for every step of the way, talking about all the behind the scenes stuff. That would be really awesome. The thing is, I learned a long time ago, Warstick, my audience, my core audience, wants nothing to do with me talking about video games. Like 6 or 7 years ago, I did my top 10 video games. And I thought, hey, I was one of the most successful video game designers in history, quite frankly. I'm probably, in the top 500 highest grossing game designers of all time with Siphon Filter and The Sims and Fable and other stuff besides. And you'd think, oh, people would want to hear what my favorite games are. That is still, to date, one of, if not the lowest viewer count top 10s I have ever done. So it has made it very clear that my new board game family wants nothing to do with my old video game history, surprisingly. Okay, what else? But Eclectic Camel would watch TF out of that. What's TF stand for? You'll never hear it from me. Let's see. Okay, I just did a quick scan. I don't see any question marks. You folks just want to have chitty chat time, and that's cool, but I am exhausted and I do need to get some exercise. Hey, how long does this take to hit YouTube? That's a good question. First time chatter, Pass the Salt. Welcome to the party, pal. Nice to have you here. This will go up on YouTube 24-ish hours from now. I'm going to take it. This whole thing will be available. Actually, I haven't decided if the whole thing's going to be available. The run through, I mean, I'm going to cut out this end and the intro and the mid stuff. I'm going to add that thing that Tim mentioned. And so a traditional, it looks like there'd be no live elements at all. Just looks like my regular roundup. That will be up tomorrow. Normally I put them up on the 1st of every month, but on the 1st, we're putting up an RVR, or an R&R show, so I did it one day earlier. So you'll be seeing it tomorrow for anything you missed today. It'll all be there tomorrow. Okay. All right. What are we doing? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, Tim. Do I do my own editing? Or is this... No, Tim, I am the cheapest man you will ever meet. Why pay somebody to do something when I could do it myself? So no, I do my own editing. And I mean, everything I do, I film in such a way that it requires zero editing or 0.0005% editing. Because really, honestly, Tim, if you hadn't pointed out that thing that I really now want to insert, all I would have to do after we're done is just transfer this over to YouTube and just do 3 cuts. The intro, the outro, and that mid-time when I took a break, which you can do with the YouTube editor. I'm really good with that YouTube editor. It'd probably take me about 10 minutes and done. But now I gotta bust out, what do I use? I use Power Director because it's the cheapest full-feature Premiere alike on the market, and it doesn't require you to subscribe. I bought it for a flat $60 on Amazon a few years ago, and it does all the basics I need. So I'll do a little bit more editing. But no, one show I did, I actually had an editor work on it, and I paid him for it, and I felt terrible paying him for it because I could have kept that money for myself. Alrighty, let's see. Okay. So many beloved memories playing Fable. I have many beloved memories making Fable, and I have many, many dark, dark memories that I would like to forget all about making Fable as well. But thank you for the kind words. Okay, I am Gonzville, folks. Let me find the big raid button. Let's see if Ruel made... Yep, there he is. Ruel is just waiting for you. My favorite man on Twitch, my co-host, my second partner in life after Jen. There's Jen. And then down here, there's Ruel, my co-host. We're going to go over to him. And remember, folks, you want those Rahdo points. Oh, I should have looked. Did anybody spend any Rahdo points requesting anything that I could do today? No, they didn't. We still have an outstanding buy an argument and a Ruel ranks. We're going to do both of those tomorrow when Ruel and I stream live. Thank you, Arcom, for the follow. And so, folks, stick around. Say hi to Ruel for me. Tell him Rahdo sent you. He knows they're coming from me. And but you will also, I think, get 300 more Rahdo points that you can spend to get all kinds of cool benefits on the channel. So let me hit that button. Let me hit that button. Let me hit that button. And then, in a few seconds, I'll hit the other button. None of you folks can see any of these buttons, sadly. I probably should have shared this so you can see what's actually happening. But here we go. Go get him. Go get him, Tiger! Okay, and now I will check to see if that actually worked. And it did. Yes, it did. Here we come. Here we come. Boop. Okay. So, I think that worked. Yep, okay, Ruel is putting on his raid hat because he is old school. It doesn't do any of that digital stuff. I don't know what he's got in mind, folks, but have a good time with Ruel. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. I got some editing to do. So long. Bye.